Greetings, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Welcome back to my Astroneer series. Today we pick up the action on Calidor. Now, because we've activated all the surface gateways, we're very firmly in the, I guess you could say, construction and upgrading mode. So, why don't you strap yourself in, put on your favourite watching other people do things outfit, and let's begin. Alright, the first bit of technology milestone that we need to reach is we need to reach the ability to make rubber, aluminium alloy, and tungsten carbide, and possibly a few other, I will say, advanced materials. In order to do that, we need ourselves a extended large platform type arrangement, which I've already printed out. But we also need the chemistry lab, so we're going to spit that one out and set it up on our fresh new platform, and that will put us in good stead so that we can make all of the materials that we're going to need to make a large rover, as well as quite a lot of the support equipment we're going to want to attach to it. So that's the first part of this episode. Just taking a moment to remind myself if there was any other missions that we can knock out here specifically on Calidor, or missions that have a step that involves Calidor. I'm pretty sure I've got rid of them all, but I'm just having a bit of a look through the old mission log here just to make sure I didn't miss any. And as I suspected, we pretty much done everything that we need to do at this stage. Now, we're always going to be able to return to Calidor if we need to in the future. I just want to make sure that we weren't leaving any, unfinished business, I suppose. Now, we're continuing with our preparations to print the large rover. Now, we do have our large printer there already ready to go. We're working on some other bits and pieces. Now, all during this series of printing things and making things for the large rover, power is becoming annoying, and we will definitely be addressing that a little bit later in this episode. Honestly, if the thought had occurred to me, I'd have done it first, but truth be known, this episode is a culmination of two separate recording sessions, and it was in the second session that I had the epiphany and just decided, yep, I am going to go ahead and do the thing that I'm going to do. Now, in preparation for the potential for, setting up some more power stuff, as part of this session, I did decide to, basically, maybe not fill this hole in, but just create a level surface here. The thought was that if I was going to get any wind/solar farm type thing going on, I'd have a better place to put it where it would have more visibility, at least in terms of the solar. It would have better visibility for when the sun's up. I do kind of change my mind on that one a little bit later in the episode, but for the moment, that was kind of the thought process behind why I put this platform up here. Alright, and here we go, hitting the go button on printing our large rover, and it pretty much is what it says on the tin. It is very large. And just like printing any of the shuttles, it takes quite a bit of power, and it takes a little while too. So I kind of cut away there a bit. We did have reasonably good power supply because it was most of the print time was during the day. But even so, it still took a good, couple of minutes to spit it out. So I just chopped that while that was running. And boom, here is our large rover. It comes wrapped in one of those very large containers. We're going to leave it wrapped up for now because as it is, it's not very useful. And if we suddenly change our mind and we want to go to another planet, it's more convenient in that form. I think it's pretty unlikely that that's going to be the case though. A couple of other things we're going to need with the rover. With the exception of the tractor and the gravity ball, pretty much every other, and of course the rockets, pretty much every other vehicle requires a seat. So even the little buggy, anything bigger than the tractor, all of it needs like a rover seat of some kind. And if you're just playing single player, just that single person rover seat that I spat out is more than enough. If you are playing multiplayer, there is actually a 3-person version of that. However, you're going to be hard-pressed to put it on anything other than the biggest rover, I believe, because it takes up a double socket. Oh, not a double socket. It takes up a... it takes up a bigger socket than what I have available on the tractor, for example. So anyway, we're getting back into our printing process here to get some more materials together. And this is, now the sun's gone down, this is where the power is starting to bite. We are ripping our way through whatever battery storage we have, and even that is not going to last very long. Even so, I'm still, queuing things up to get them printed. And amongst that, we are making the drill for the vehicle. And you can tell exactly when our power has pretty much run out. So it's my single RTG that's powering everything now. So we've got that. We've got a resource container, or a soil, I should say, container. We need that as part of the paver and the drill combo. Now, we also need a canister along with that. It's just kind of how it sort of works. We are also going to, we haven't printed the paver yet, but we'll get to that one in a moment. And in amongst all of this, there is going to be a bucket load more resource gathering. Now, I've actually elected to chop pretty much all of that, simply because the episode was going to end up being, an hour, a bit over an hour long if I left that in, even with it sped up. So, yeah, we did do a scary amount of resource gathering during this time. Mostly resin, a modest amount of compound, a fair bit of organic, because rubber and whatever the other one is that I can't think of right now need carbon as part of their materials. So, but we've taken a little short run out here because we need a seed. And because we've just now decided, because we've got our tappers, actually we haven't printed them yet, sorry, minor spoiler, we're going to print out some tappers on the backpack in a little bit, but we're looking for this little fella. Now, you can tap pretty much any plant, but only these plants, like the one I picked up, or the aggressive plants, or the ones that you find underground, only those ones can drop seeds, and I want the plant to grow where I want it to be. And so this is why I've come out here to find a couple of those, or at least get enough seeds for at least 2 plants. I may even need 3. We'll wait and see on that one. Now, I did get a little bit cocky because I've got my oxygen bottle now, and I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm good to go out here. I know I'm not far from base. When I get low, I can just run back. Any prizes for guessing how that sort of thinking might get me, you know? And worth noting, just to remember about the plants, you're not domesticating the plants. So if something in the wild wants to kill you, and you're planning on, trying to turn that into a, what do you call it? A power source, which is what we're going to be doing. Yeah, you want to make sure it's somewhere where it can't damage you while you're going about your duties. So, yeah, just an FYI on that. Now, back to the action. We've started suffocating and we're running back. And are we going to make it? It's gonna, yep, well, we did, and we died. Yeah, I don't think I could have tried to repeat that because if I'd got there half a moment sooner, I wouldn't have died. And if I got there later, I wouldn't have got close enough to the tether line before I died. So I'm not quite sure how I can die and be on a tether line, but yeah, mission successful if that ever was a mission. Anyway, we basically died right next to our base, so recovery is definitely not an issue. We're going to grab all the bibs and bobs that we have on our backpack and our drill, and then we can get back to it. Alright, to plant the seed is pretty easy. You just pop it on the ground and then just activate it, and it will just gradually grow over time. You don't need to water it or do anything to it. It will just naturally grow up to its mature form. I think it takes an Astroneer day or so. I really didn't time it. We're going to convert some of that organic into carbon as a way of jump starting our power station once we get everything in position. For now, though, we've got a few more things that we want to attend to. Firstly, we're just going to try and make a ramp here just to make it easier to come up from this side. And then we're going to get back to the business of building some upgrades. Now, I kind of forgotten, but yeah, I did actually make the tappers a little bit earlier. I just cut that bit out of the episode. The tapper's pretty easy to use. You just it's a bit like attaching dynamite. You've just got to get onto the right part of the plant and like on a meaty bit of the plant, and then it will just auto attach. The plant needs to reach a certain level of maturity though before the tapper will attach to it. So you can't put it on a little sapling type thing just freshly out of the seed. It does take a little while for it to grow big enough that the tapper can be plugged into it. But in this case, we've still got a lot of equipment printing and whatnot to do before we're going to really need the organic that's going to be coming out of those. Now, for the observant, you may have noticed that my outfit has changed a bit. Yeah, I ended up messing with the Christmas outfit a little bit just to try and make it work a bit better, and then I decided the one I've got on now is yeah, I'll just go with that one instead. So I tried to keep the same color scheme. I just ended up switching to a slightly different outfit. So yeah, it happens. Game with a lot of cosmetics in it. This sort of thing can happen from time to time, but for now, that's the outfit I'm going to run with for the foreseeable future. With that little bit of business out of the way, you can see we're spitting out some of the smaller platforms as well as the generators, the medium generators. The goal here is we're going to have a few platforms. We're going to have a couple of auto arms. We're going to end up with a smelter, and we're going to have the platforms arranged so that the arms can sort of transfer stuff from one place to the next. So we're just going to get all of that sort of underway at the moment. It does take a hot minute, so just bear with me. Alright, so what I'm working towards here initially is something just to, because the day's finished now and I'm starting to have power issues, or actually I already have power issues. I'm just doing like an interim setup here just to get the medium generator running to, speed up my efforts to get more of the generators running. Now, I plugged the carbon in there, but obviously I'm not getting any extra power yet. I kind of forgot to turn that generator on. That's all right. We'll deal with that one in a minute. We've got to get some more generators printing, and we also need to get our auto arms sorted out. So that's what we're going to do now. Yeah, rather than leaving that generator running while I wasn't really needing the power, I thought I'd spend the time and just have a really big run and pick up a whole bunch of resin. So I filled up the tractor and my backpack with resin. So now we can make good with that resin and get some more things on the way. First of which is the smelting furnace. Now, with these setups, it is much, much, much better to be using the little backpack furnace if you've got one. Yeah, we haven't stumbled across one on Calidor yet. I imagine as we start doing deeper explorations into the planet, we may get the opportunity to find one. For the moment, though, the only furnaces I have available to me on Calidor is the full-size version. Yeah, I kind of wish I did have a backpack one because they are so much more power efficient. I mean, the space side of it is good, but it's the power efficiency that you want. These smelters, they use 5 units of power while they're smelting, whereas the backpack one only uses 2. And, on this particular setup, while the smelter is running, the generator produces 9 power. So essentially, if it's creating more carbon, then 5 of that is being consumed by the smelter. So that's not ideal for a 1 generator setup. I am going to expand this in a minute to have 3. So we end up with a total of 27 units worth of power, and the cost of the smelter becomes less of an issue there. And 27 units of power is enough to deal with most of our power needs quite comfortably. So that is what we're going to end up creating here. In the background, though, I've identified, like I tend to do, that a soil centrifuge is going to be quite handy. A couple of the items for the large rover actually use materials that you don't come across as much, and I inevitably end up using them whenever I find them. So graphite's a prime example. When I'm out and about, I'm usually using graphite to make packages so that I can squish down as many science samples as I can, and then I never think to bring any of it back to base. So given soil's really not that hard to come by, we're just going to use the soil we have to spin down the couple of bits of graphite we need for our next round of equipment upgrades for the large rover. Oh, whoops, I forgot. Yeah, the graphite in this case is actually for the auto arms. Alright, well, anyway. We needed some more resources, some copper and some aluminium essentially, so we went out and farmed some laterite and malachite so we can now smelt those up and get those ready to go. I just expanded the large rover there because I'm 100% committed to using that rover on Calidor, so yeah, it doesn't really need to be in a box anymore. But the real reason why I unpacked it is you'll find this in Astroneer sometimes. You'll have a larger item sitting on uneven ground and it will, I don't know, rock back and forth almost imperceptibly and it will make a noise. And the noise will be pretty low and in the background, and most of the time you won't notice it. But that sort of thing does drive me batty quite quickly. So in order to prevent that rover from causing any more insanity than what I might already have, yeah, I just unpacked it because anything sitting on wheels is inherently very quiet unless it's interacting with something else. So yeah, all good there. In the meantime, we are cranking out everything we can through that smelter. Our power it's going okay. We've got that generator running at this stage, and that is giving us enough juice to actually, no, is it not running? No, that's right, I haven't turned it on yet. We must have just had a little bit of excess battery left in the system. We've now got back to the situation where it's just the RTG powering everything, and if you want to see what a setup looks like that has far too little power, congratulations, and this footage is sped up. To say that things had almost completely ground to a halt at that stage before I turned the generator on would be the understatement of the century. Anyway, we're just spinning down to get another couple of bits of graphite so we can get the other auto arm going, and we'll keep a graphite in reserve in case we need it. And we're getting pretty close now to having this power set up all ready to go. Alright, so setting up these auto arms, so that little mounting point in the middle of the arm tells the arm if it's only allowed to handle certain things. And so I'm just telling it, regardless of what it sees in its pickup area, it's only allowed to pick up organic. Now, whether you have that enabled or not on this particular arm wouldn't really matter, because I'm not planning on leaving anything else in that area that it could pick up anyway. Now, the next aspect of the auto arm, and this is the bit that sort of confused me when I first saw them, is when you highlight the auto arm, it will show two discs on the ground, one in front of it and one behind it. And for the life of me, I couldn't quite work out initially which way around things had to be. Now, the arms only work in one direction, so the green is the pickup area, and so in this case the green disc is essentially the plants are more or less in the middle of the green disc for the auto arm, and the blue disc represents the area that it will deposit things onto, into a socket kind of thing. So we've got it set up. It will auto pick up any of the organic the moment it becomes available, and it just did one just then, and it will try and place it onto that platform that's in the blue area. And you can see it does that with great reliability. Now the furnace, because the furnace has 4 loading slots, until those 4 loading slots are occupied, it will automatically suck any of the organic directly off the platform, literally the moment that the arm places it there. So it's a seamless transfer from one to the other. Now, what will happen with that setup is the smelter will eventually smelt enough organic into carbon to fill up that tray, and of course there won't be anywhere for the organic to be placed. But the thing is, the smelter still has 4 input slots, so it will have to fill all of those as well, and then that's when the smelter will stop working, and then the arm will pause and will be effectively buffered for carbon for the generator. And then when the generator uses the existing piece of carbon, it will automatically pick up a piece of carbon from the same platform, and then that opens a slot, and then the whole process starts up again. Now, that works okay for a single generator setup. I mean, if you were just going to have an outpost on a moon or something like that, that might work well enough just to keep one researcher going. But for me, this is a more permanent base, and we really want this power to be reasonably bulletproof. So we are now setting up a second auto arm, and it is actually the wrong way around. We want it to pick up from that platform. Now we're going to move that generator over. We're going to add more generators to that platform, and we are going to use the remaining double slot to put all of the carbon on the tray. And then the arm will be aligned with that tray, and it will, the arm that we're about to set up will automatically transfer excess carbon from that one to the other one. And I'm thinking, I've turned this on, why is this not working? And then, you know, tired, Rob phase, I've realised, oh yeah, maybe I should plug it into power, and boom, away it goes. So it's now just going to transfer that carbon over to the 3 generator setup, and we now have 27 units of power available. Well, 28 including the RTG, but the RTG isn't always going to be there. And our lovely little loyal arm is just going to keep swapping carbon over to that new setup, making room for more organic. And yeah, this will work seamlessly indefinitely, because the organic, the only places that this arm can drop the organic is on this end of the platform, and so it's not going to clog up the works with organic. And the only thing that the carbon transferring arm is going to do is transfer carbon when there's an available slot. At the moment, there's no available slots, so it'll just sit there forever until a slot becomes available. Now, talking about being available, I've reached the end of this episode. Or should I say the end of the episode has become available. I don't know. Maybe I should have thought that one out a bit better. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and to consider subscribing if you have not already subscribed. In the meantime, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Thank you very, very much for watching, and make sure you have yourself an absolutely amazing day and a completely brilliant 2025.